So here we are. Thanks again for you've come back. So this is now the second video in this series. It's going to be 3 parts. This is the video that basically involves all the electronics involved around this 107 build. So it's been quite a while since I've done any soldering or done any building electronics wise. So this is really just an opportunity to get back into it. So many mistakes to be made, but we'll see how we go. So I'm just tinning some of the LED wires here. These are the LEDs that are going to obviously go onto the Hubsan. The nice thing about this build is everything works in 4s, so 4 LEDs to put on, but what you'll notice, what I do quite a number of times, is to go on and test then put everything together once I know it's working. So this is the receiver board, 107 receiver board. What I'm doing here is just tuning up some of the contacts for the LEDs on here. Now the 2 LEDs I'm putting on first are the blues, which are the front LEDs, give me some indication of direction. What we've got here is the pads that you're looking at that I'm just tinning here. On the flip side of these, there are already 2 blue LEDs fitted, which are fitted on the board as standard. These are the LEDs that flash when you first plug the power in, and when you put the when you bind to the transmitter. These are the ones that then go solid. So all we've done is we've just put a bit of solder on the wires and subsequently on the board, so that when we put these together, hopefully with not too much heat and not too much messing about, we'll get a connection. There you go. Obviously the wires from these are the genuine Hubsan LEDs, as I mentioned in the earlier video. The wires themselves give a colour-coded positive and negative, so it's you know, in terms of your colours and all that sort of thing, you're not going to get anything wrong from that point of view, which leaves a lot more room for the risk of you just messing things up by not being experienced enough to know what you're doing, or which is criticism of myself more than anyone else who's watching this. So obviously we've put that together. That's one. Let's get the second one on, and then, like I say, it's just a case of testing now. So let's throw a battery on. Just going to get the battery connected up to make sure that our LEDs are doing what we want them to do from that point of view. Click it in. Oh, that's not what I wanted. This is not a demonstration of possible errors. This is an actual genuine error that happened while I was doing this initial build. So things that are most likely to have happened, and things I'm hoping to have happened, because I knew that everything had worked before. Most likely is, and my eyesight not being what it was, is we've got a bridge, and I've managed to somehow join the positive and negative together with solder, and subsequently that caused the LED to stop working. So disconnected that. Let's plug it back in. Okay, excuse my fat thumb. This is the first time I've done a video sort of this, when I haven't got the finances for an independent cameraman, so this is just my camera stuck on a tripod on the desk. So what I was able to see there is the onboard LED was firing again, so I know that it was just a short. So let's get the other LED back on there. This time not bridging it to the connection next to it. And then we get ourselves a connection, which is good. It's, yeah, I appreciate, I'm sure there's lots of people out there, this guy's soldering's horrendous, that kind of thing. Yep, absolutely. It's been about 15 years since I did any soldering of any description, so just relearning the process. But anyway, so that's those LEDs done. Like I say, that's 4 in total that I wanted to put on. 2 blue ones at the front, and then we've got 2 red ones that go on the rear. So all we're doing, same as before, tinning up the legs on the LEDs, and then we'll tin up the board itself. I've just got an extra helping hand, quite literally, little device. You'll have seen a number of around hobbyists use them all the time. It's a couple of crocodile clips with a magnifying glass attached, and it just gives you something to hold on to. The white pen that you see popping in and out of frame with the yellow nib on it is actually a flux pen. Flux just helps with the soldering. It generally helps the grab so that the solder sticks to the surfaces better. Doesn't take a lot in order for it to provide benefits. It just helps with that. So there we are. So now we have flashing blues. The red's solid, which is what the reds are always going to be solid. The blues only go solid once you're actually bound to your transmitter. That's good. LEDs are done. Next thing is the motors. Now what I wanted to do with the motors, and I mentioned this in the earlier video I did, I've got these connectors off of a harness, battery charging harness. These are JST connectors, and what I want to do is I want to get these connected up onto the board first, and then I'm going to plug the motors into these, because the Dark Edition motors I got from Micro Motor Warehouse come with the male version of this JST plug on them. So with that all in mind, we can then use that piece of we can use that to disconnect and reconnect our motors as we want to. Not something we do, not something I plan on doing particularly often, but I've just seen a few reports of these MMW motors burning out. I'm not criticising the motors, because to be honest, if I was that unsure I wouldn't have bought them. More often than not, it seems like the reason these things are burning and popping is because people are abusing them, in terms of they're just running them for an exponential amount of time. They're running like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 batteries in sequence, one after the other, not giving the motors any time to cool. These things, at the end of the day, they do need time to cool down. Not just straight away. You can use a few batteries in a row, but then you might need to give it 5-10 minutes just to cool off. So this gives me the opportunity to swap those out without having to desolder and resolder them. If they work for a long time, they seem to be working fine, then at some point, no doubt, I'll drop the JST connectors out and just solder straight to the actual board. But this is what we're going to do for now. So, and also it gave me something else to solder and something else to mess about with from that point of view. The weight gains are negligible. You look at the amount of wire and plastic that's on these JST connectors. Alright, it's probably, if we take all 4 of them into account, and then and we're not cutting the plastic adapter off the MMW motors, we might be looking at a couple of grams. It's not worth getting worried about. So there we are, again, just tinning up the pads on the connector and on the board. I'm trying to tidy up my soldering as I go, so I haven't got too much to worry about. And we'll get this connector in, get this soldered on. Pads on the board marked positive and negative. The standard colour coding: red positive, black negative. It was the same with the LEDs. Again, the wires on the LEDs are colour coded as well. Those are the original Hubsan LEDs that you can buy. So that tidies that away. So we've got one connection there. Again, excuse the blurred video. Hopefully it becomes clear enough at the right point so that you can actually see what's going on from that point of view. Okay, that didn't feel particularly good, so we just pulled that one and resoldered it. Okay, so there we go. So we've got our connector on now. Run away and grab myself a motor. Let's get this motor connected on, and then we can see if this is, because I hadn't seen this done anywhere, I just thought it might be an idea to try, so we'll see if this works. So motor's on now, and then at this point I believe I had to speed the video up because I'd forgotten my transmitter. That was off in another room, so I nipped off to get that. So battery on, all LEDs flashing. Yep, good. Okay, they'll go solid when the TX gets switched on, like that. There we go, it's dancing. Okay, so we've got an MMW motor dancing across the table, so we know that works. The connection's good, and also it means that the process of connecting those JST connectors together is a valid one. It's going to work for us. So rinse and repeat time. So tinning up the other 3 cables, the other 3 JST connectors that I've cut. Get those done, and then bring the board back in. Exactly the same process as before. So this is if you are relearning something, the way to relearn it is to do it again and again and again and again and again until it's becomes second nature. I'm sure I'll be doing many more hours of soldering in order to get good at it again. But there we go. So all we're doing now is tinning up all the pads on the actual board, and then putting these connectors on so that we've got everything ready. What I'll do then is I'll get the remaining 3 motors out, I'll get all those hooked up, and then we'll just make sure that everything's dancing before we decide to, before we know that we're done. So there we are. That was just a quick check just to make sure that I hadn't fused or blown anything while I was doing those last few solders. So let's get all these motors hooked up. Battery in, dance of the LEDs again. Oh yeah, there you go. So we've got blue LEDs dancing, and get the TX turned on. Okay, we've got solid, and then go. There we go. Got 4 motors dancing around the table, which is good. So that proves everything has worked, which has been it's not been a complete waste of time, which has been good. So that's the electronic section done. Now it's just a case of disconnect the battery and disconnect all the motors. Time to move on to the frame, and let's see how that works out. So thanks for watching this bit. By all means, nip on to the next video for the frame, and we'll see you there.